Good morning this morning. Good morning. Good morning. Today is a good day. Yeah. Today is a good day. Yeah. Today is a good day. Today is Monday, 7th February 2022. And anytime I remember that Valentine's Day is in 7 days' time, I just rub my palms like this and I feel good.
Valentine is coming.
I feel good. Good morning and welcome to Lagoon Radio, broadcasting live to you from Marina, Lagos, and you're welcome to today's newspaper review. My name is Olabisi Okay, I won't be doing this alone. I'm here with some pretty ladies. Pretty lady, I am here with Yennefer Ubril. Yennefer, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Jennifer
Good
Jibril.
morning.
You're feeling yourself.
Every Monday you're always sitting with pretty ladies in the studio.
Aww. And I also have with me here Taiwo Adeola Shabiole Gbesham.
Good morning.
Are you feeling all right?
I'm feeling over good. Go back.
Oh, like seriously, that means this week is a good week.
Yes, because look at all of us now. Can you see all of us? If you can't see us, go to our YouTube channel and just take a look at us. It's Monday, but yet we're looking as if it's oh gosh.
We are looking pink. We are
Don't
looking
worry,
pink.
it's good. I mean, this one,
See,
you
I
don't want to
even
know what
the
I'm wearing
difference
under.
between our glow and the light in the studio again.
So we are all glowing with
Yeah,
pride.
it's a beautiful morning.
Yeah. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles: Facebook at Lagoon Radio Nigeria, Instagram and Twitter at Lagoonradio.Ng, and of course our YouTube channel on www.youtube.com/LagoonTV. How many W did I call?
Be like four.
Call it again.
www.
Okay, Stevie.
Okay, it's Terry. And as well as our website on www.lagoonradio.ng. In no particular order, we have this Nigeria, we have Business AM, The Authority, Nigerian Tribune, Nigerian Pilot, New Telegraph, This Day, Blueprint, National Economy, Leadership, The Daily Times, Daily Independent, Al Jazeera, and the Daily Champion. So you have to fasten your seatbelt and enjoy the ride of our newspaper review this morning, as I'll be starting with this Nigeria. On page 5 of those Nigeria papers, ASU declares today lecture free ahead of strike. It's been a while I experienced this, while I was in school, we'll have sit down strike, we'll have ASU strike. After ASU strike, we hear NASU strike, we hear Rishi strike. But now today has been declared lecture free. Ahead of the strike, you can get that on page 5 of this Nigeria papers. And moving to page 4, 2023, APC's Jonathan Joker, and the writers to that says lobbyists intensify effort woo North. It will contest if Buhari gives assurance, says source, and Jonathan won't quit PDP, says Reno on mockery. And why his return will not fly, says Otubanjo and others. Can get all of that on page 4 of this Nigerian papers. And still on page 4, Tinubu returns from UK trip, continue consultations. And moving on to page 5, National Convention, ruling party in fresh role as inauguration of state chairman sparks grievances. Wow. Okay, and lastly on this Nigeria, I'll be picking this one from page 13. Despite CBN crypto ban, Nigeria's Bitcoin P2P trading surged by 16%. Wow. That's a wow. That'll be all on this Nigeria papers.
Okay, so we're moving on to our next paper for today, Daily Champion. And the major headline, NIN SIM leakage. Seraph writes Buhari over unlawful access to subscribers' details. You can find that on page 6 of the Daily Champion. Also on the front page, you have Fidelity Bank deboses 34 billion naira in credit to boost rice value chain. And that story is on page 6. Tinubu returns to Nigeria after UK trip, continues consultations, also on page 6. NDLEA arrests dismissed DPO orders. You can find that on page 6. Sepco's oil field fire extinguished as evacuation operation begins. Ikeazo, also on page 6. It seems page 6 of Daily Champion
Carries
is
a lot of
loaded.
stories.
Also on Daily Champion, we have NIDCOM urges Nigerians in Ukraine to remain calm as US threatens to shut down gas pipeline projects in Russia if Russia invades Ukraine. And that story is on page 8 of Daily Champion. And we have another headline. Senegal wins AFCON trophy, beats Egypt on penalties. That story is on page 32 of the Daily Champion. We also have Osun 2022. I will not betray your trust. If re-elected, Oyetola assures residents as governor inaugurates newly renovated block of classrooms in Ilesha. That is on page 6 as well of the Daily Champion.
All right, moving on to the Authority newspaper. At the very top, we have Leave a legacy with the new electoral bill. Adebayo tells Buhari. You can get this on page 13. Governor Uzodinma has changed the narratives in Imo, says Emelumba. Am I correct? Okay, you can get that on page 14. Man seeks exception from CBN's evaluation, e-invoicing guidelines. Yes, you can read up on page 9. CSO has Auditor General to investigate NAS management over staff welfare. You can get this on page 7 of the Authority. And a major story there says National Convention, more crisis in APC as stakeholders disagree with CECPC over zoning. And the writers to that says Buhari to determine zoning of NWC offices, SECPC. No president lacks powers over zoning, ex-NWC member. Party may adopt consensus option to elect new NWC members. All of this it's on the front page and you can continue reading the story on the inside on page 12. Still on the paper, APC chairmanship. I want to return power to the youth, says Senator Sani Musa. That's on page 2. Military kills several ISWAP delegates, page 6 of the paper. Hijab crisis, Ojukwu helps on right to freedom of worship. It's on page 7. And also on page 13, you see 14 Edo APC lawmakers beg IU to wade into their case. You can read that on page 13 of the Authority. And of course, on the front page, you have the picture of the AFCON final. Senegal beat Egypt on penalty kicks, and that's a sign of jubilation on the front of the Authority newspaper. And that'll be all.
All right, I'll be taking the Nigerian Tribune. IU's wise men in court yet to meet over Osun PDP crisis. That's on page 24 of the Nigerian Tribune. And on page 26, NDLEA seizes 22,160 kilograms codeine, meth loud at Lagos Seaport, Mushin raids. Oh my God.
I laugh at that.
At the loud. Like loud.
It was loud for
In fact, I think recently, I just heard recently that there's another thing they call molly. I'm like, is it molly or molly?
Whatever it is.
Molly.
In fact, when the person told me that I was a molly, if I what my brain first said was molly. Okay, people that bear Omolola, they used to give themselves nickname molly. Molly. It's
another level of you know.
It is well.
So we're done with Unkuru Miri. So that's another one.
Yeah, I think that's another one. It's
East.
common in the East.
Yes.
Yeah, it's common in the East. It is well. Hey. Okay. So you can get that on page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune. And I have this. Okay, back to page 20. Pencom confirms 48 billion naira pension assets transferred by PFAs in the second quarter of 2021. That's on page 20, and I'll take from page 2. We have 2 headlines on page 2. OAU student's death. Deceased family, Ayas Falano. Wow. on page 2. And same page 2, Oyo APC chieftains reject Omodewu as chairman. And moving to page 5, Africa's $546 billion public debt higher than total annual revenue, say AFDB. That's on page 5. And this is as regards 2023 presidency, plot against Atiku thickens. And the writer to that says Atiku autumn exchange words over Fulani terror claim. On page 7, Lassa fever, 40 died, 4 health workers infected in January, says NCDC. So I think maybe we are done with Omicron, with Delta Cron, and this is Lassa fever. Lassa fever has been from the word go anyway. So and taking precautions is actually the key to preventing the spread. Okay. On page 20, still on page 5, vehicle importers lament payment of storage charges over VREG collapse. That's on page 5. And on page 7, drop students' loan bill, ASU tells reps. On page 8, trust fund, 3 years after approval, federal government fails to release 53 billion naira for vehicle financing scheme. Automotive policy lies dormant for 8 years as high traffic slowed down vehicles sales. That's on page 8. And on page 26, Delta oil vessel explosion as 3 crew members rescued alive, 1 dead body found. I think I watched the video I think late last week about the Delta oil vessel explosion. It was really a bad thing. It was really a bad thing. May God grant the lost souls eternal rest, and the rest of them that are yet to be found. We pray they are found in peace, in good health. So it is well. And lastly, on Nigerian Tribune, on page 26, housewife stabs husband's nephew to death in Ogun. You want to know why? Can get that on page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune. And we actually have a picture of jubilation of the Senegal players, as Senegal are now the African champions. At least I actually followed the match yesterday, which ended with a penalty shootout. And I actually should I say, checked my status. Even people that I never believed could be football, they were like, upsetting. I'm like, wow, so you to watch ball.
No, I mean, to think that was the first time they would ever lift the trophy ever. They've gotten to finals, they've lost. So meeting Egypt that has lifted 7 times.
Wow.
Was a big deal for them.
Wow. I think you discussed that during the sports update with Chimeze by 4:30.
You didn't see how our body is sweating now.
I had to just cut that short. Please, this is newspaper review.
Thank you for doing that.
Over to you.
Okay, so we have right in front of me New Telegraph. First headline, Nigerians in the diaspora remitted $87.37 billion in 4 years. And that story can be found on page 22 of New Telegraph. Moving on, we have another headline. Abandoned aircraft threat to airport safety and security. That's on page 2 of New Telegraph. That's the major headline. And I can also see a picture of a really large crowd. Our nation in danger of political compromise, says Kaigama, warns politicians to desist from their habitual blame game, and that is on page 5 of New Telegraph. Moving on, you deserted Benue during Heda's attack. I have issues with the way Fulani race was profiled, says Atiku. The full story is on page 3 of New Telegraph. Beneath the paper, we have study links long-term cannabis. Let me take that again. Study links long-term cannabis used to lungs damage. And that is on page 6 of New Telegraph. We still have some stories on page 2 as well, and page 27. APC's national leader, Tinubu, returns to Nigeria after a week in UK. That is on page 27 of New Telegraph. Over to you.
All right, moving on to the Daily Champion newspaper. Fidelity Bank disburses 34 billion naira in credit to boost rice value chain. You can read up on page 6. Tinubu returns to Nigeria after UK trip continues consultations. Page 6 as well of the Daily Champion. Drugs. NDLEA arrest dismissed DPO and others. That's on page 6. Okay. Alright, sorry about that. I'll probably move on to the Nigerian pilot. I think Jennifer took that one before. Federal government to meet aviation unions today over threat of strike. You can get that on page 8. Kanu Kastina Mardi rail line ready before May 2023, says minister. You can read that on page 6. Massacre in Zamfara. Bandits reportedly killed 33, abducted many others in Zamfara for failure to pay 40 million naira levy. Levy imposed by Ada Aleru, a notorious banditry kingpin operating in the area. People, mostly women, children, ran into the bush for their lives. Eyewitnesses says 10 bodies have so far been recovered. Several other people are still missing. All of this you can read up on page 8 of the Nigerian pilot. Alright, autumn to article. Benue people not happy with you. That's on page 8. Muslim Christian associations differ over hijab in Kwara school. You can read up on page 6 of the paper. Constitutional role for traditional rulers coming. Page 5. This was said by the Senate. And also on page 5, you see FCT election. Natives appeal to APC monitoring committee not to interfere. Moving on to page 6 of the Nigerian pilot. 3 crew members of Delta oil vessel explosion alive. 7 others still missing. I'll rush down to page 5 again. Buhari's government in a hurry to develop Nigeria, says Lawan. Is this time for us to hurry? Aha. Okay, at the very bottom of the paper, NIN SIM. Sirap writes Buhari over unlawful access to subscribers' details. And on the front page, we have the picture of our own cathedral. We have the Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State, Prince Akwa Abiodun of Ogun State, and Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, former Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, wife of former military head of state, Mrs. Victoria Gowon, General Yakub Gowon, retired Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, and the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, during the state funeral of the ex-head of interim national government, Chief Ernest Shoneko, at the Cathedral Church of Christ, Marina, Lagos. That was on Friday.
That was last Friday.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'll be taking from this day papers. Osinbajo to announce presidential bid after APC convention secures go ahead of his spiritual father. So that can be found on page 10 of these day papers, and on page 5 days after 3 crewmen in Sepcol's FPSO explosion found alive. Thank God. That's on page 5 of this day papers. Final farewell to Shoneko. It took place at a cathedral in Marina, Lagos. That's on page 10 of the state papers. The Fitch. Nigeria's oil sector weak performance may slow down economic growth. Emagbe, wow. Can continue reading on the inside of these day papers. Amended electoral bill bars ministers, commissioners from contesting in primaries. And the writers to that says bill prescribes sanctions for erring parties. Advises aggrieved potential aspirants to approach Federal High Court for relief. Says judicial pronouncement can't stop primary or general election. You can get all of that on page 10 of these day papers. And on page 6, Africa requires stronger, better visionary leadership to grow, says Buhari and Ahmed. Can get the full details on page 6 of these day papers.
Okay, so one more here. We have Al Jazeera Nigeria. The major headline, 2023 presidency, South's final decision will shake Nigeria, says Wike. Stop threatening Arewa, says Yakasai. North still has right to field candidate, says the Bauchi state governor. And Clark insists on peace, unity. All this you can find on page 7 of Al Jazeera Nigeria. Alleged misappropriation of $679.4 million. Senate exonerates BPE. You can find this on page 21. La debunks alleged Ali Modu Sharif's link to Boko Haram, and that is on page 28. You can also find on page 6 traditional rulers to get constitutional roles by Lawan. Also on page 26, how we can attain food security amid insecurity. So how we can attain food security amid insecurity. If you want to know how, it's on page 26 of Al Jazeera Nigeria. Also on page 15, Emir of Jamare dies at 92. And lastly, Autumn to article on page 29. Benue people are not happy with you. Find out more on page 29. Lagos Southwest states in blackout as Egbin loses 410 megawatts after fire outbreak on page 14 of Al Jazeera Nigeria. Mani triumphs over Salah as Senegal wins first ever AFCON title on page 16. And lastly, Africa is source of hope, says Guterres, and you can find more of that on page 11 of Al Jazeera Nigeria.
All right, I'll be taking the Blueprint newspaper quickly. At the top of the paper, market capitalization of First Bank Nigeria, GT Bank, and of course UBA, and two others, each 2.65 trillion naira. All its 7-year Alias rally extends to 7th week. All of this you can read on page 7. AFCON Senegal breaks jinx, beat Egypt to lift trophy, page 31 of the Blueprint newspaper. ASU threatens shut down Buhari and religious leaders beg. And the writers to that says union to declare toward today lecture free. I'm on way to. It's as if I should go back to school. This
you said just the reason. She said I'm on way to.
So you didn't know why we shouted that lecture free
I heard it, but I wasn't.
It's not that it is entry.
Because I'm taking it myself now.
Yes, now
should we
lecture
go back
free.
to school?
Like they will not go to school today.
I wish I'm in school already.
No,
I'll
they'll
be so
bring
happy.
exam after this strike.
I'm not even going back to school. I'm enjoying my life like this.
Okay. Describes federal government's release of EAA revitalization funds partial. All of this, it's on the front page, and you can continue reading on page 6. Moving on to page 7, Emir of Jamad's Are Amadu Wabil dies at 84. May his soul rest in peace. And the major story that says APC National Convention plots to jettison zoning thickens. And the writers to that says governors and others intensify lobbying. Buhari still holds the ace. Throw NWC positions open. Party chieftain tells leaders. All of this you can read up on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. During second anniversary, Oshimbajo, Jonathan, Ayu, others flag off projects. That's on page 5. And on page 7 of the Blueprint newspaper, tough times awaits Naira. As external reserves now below $40 billion. Wife, 30, arrested for stabbing husband's nephew to death in Ogun State. Ogun State again. May God pass over that land.
Amen.
Page 13. And moving on to page 15, Nigeria needs younger generation as leaders. Are you just knowing? Says Abdul Salam. Yes, we need, though. We don't want. I don't want to call names. You people should be wise when you're voting this time around. Please save us. We don't suffer.
Being wise is relative.
All right. Lastly, Lie slams 100 billion naira libel suits against online medium. This is on page 1. And that'll be all on the Blueprint newspaper.
All right, I think we've taken enough because our time is fast spent. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of our newspaper review here on Lagoon Radio. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles: Facebook at Lagoon Radio Nigeria, Instagram and Twitter at LagoonRadio.Ng, and of course our YouTube channel on LagoonTV and our website on www.LagoonRadio.Ng. And right at 10 a.m. we'll be having the Moment of Truth by Venerable Area Delegon. Do join us for that as well. My name is still Olabisi Simidele Oke.
And I'm Taiwo Adeola Shabilegbe. Since you've forgotten your name,
No, I just wanted to choose between Jennifer and
Jennifer. Choose Jennifer, please.
Okay, so my name is Jennifer Jibril.
All right. Good morning and have a blessed Monday.
Yeah, bye.
This is Lagoon Radio.